Rage here from SageNtheRage, and I am on the PTR Public Test Realm for patch 7.3.2 on my Demon Hunter Triptych, and today we're going to be looking at some real analysis of Tier 20 versus Tier 21. I made a video earlier in my series, people have seen it, calling Tier 21 garbage in comparison to where it will leave us compared to other classes. And so today I thought I'd test that a little bit. Now obviously as I do these tests I'm going to do some 2-minute rounds, not 5-minute, 2-minute rounds, and I'm going to fast forward and jump cut to the SCADA meter. Obviously some people like recount, some people say SCADA's better, whatever. It'll give us a general idea. And what we're going to do is we're going to do some 2-minute rounds on different builds and setups. So some people have said, oh well, Tier 21 isn't that bad. See, here's the Fel Reaver gear. And people say it isn't that bad, looks like we'll just use I-Beam with our regular single target build with, Chaos Blades and Demon Blades, and it won't be that bad and it should still be okay, but we'll stick to our main spec. Other people have said, let's go I-Beam and put on Radons, and, that'll help the I-Beam spec out and roll out more. And in a previous video, I said just keep your Tier 20 on if you can get a pretty high item level and keep rocking what you're rocking. So I'm using Pride As, and I'm using Anger of the Half Giants. I'm not going to be using Delusions of Grandeur because I'm just doing 2-minute tests. And then I'll keep these as I switch over to the Tier 20 and do the single target build, and then we'll go into a full I-Beam build and kind of compare these. Now, I'll put some timer marks up on the screen here so you guys can see if you want to skip forward to a certain setup or, set of armor build and see how that does on a 2-minute test. And again, obviously, sims are going to give us better numbers on these. They're going to give us a ton of different versions of it over 5 minutes on a single target, so obviously sims are better. But I wanted to get some data here and see what it does in-game versus just sims, because sometimes I like to see what it does. So we're going to start off with a 2-minute chunk, no potions, and we'll see you at the cut jump. Okay, so jumping forward here, I fell rushed away from the mob to make sure that I pulled myself out of combat. Using Tier 20 in just the regular setup that I've copied from myself over there, I've got a 936 item level, using some gear, got my Tier 20 on, and over 2 minutes sustained 1.19 million damage. So it's pretty good RNG. I did another test earlier and pulled 1.1. So a bit of a difference, but not that far off. We got our Torment of the Weak, which is always a good trait. Demon Blades, Infernal Cinders, Fell Blade, all that stuff, Chaos Strike. So over 2 minutes, using Metamorphosis and Chaos Blades and Nemesis, we were able to pull that much. So 1.19. This is just one test. Again, sims are going to run this a lot more and give us a lot of things. There's a lot of RNG in a Demon Hunter. Fury Generation, Torment of the Weak, Relic buffs, procs on crit, and everything else like that. So just one test is obviously not enough, but 1.19 on that 2-minute round. So let's go ahead and let's switch out for some of the Tier 20 pieces. And we're going to go ahead and flip over to that setup again, keeping the same stuff, just switching the same tier pieces around. Obviously some of them are statted better, but I have 955 shoulders, so I'm going to keep those on. And now we're going to run the same spec, same cooldowns, but we're going to use I-Beam in place of, the other items because we have the new set. I-Beam damage increased and haste goes up. So let's see how she does. And we'll jump in and we'll let it play for a little bit, and then I'll see you guys at the jump cut for the results. Here we go. Okay, we're at the 2-minute mark again, and we're at 1.04. The single target spec was 1.19. Now again, RNG plays a factor, but 1.104, and that is with a 10 item level upgrade on the gloves, a 5 item level upgrade on my chest, 5 item upgrade on my cape, and a 10 level item upgrade on my pants. That's using pretty much the same gear, just switching out the tier pieces that I'm wearing. Now obviously, again, there are optimized pieces, but I have some other shoulders that would get in the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to run another 2-minute window, and instead of Master the Glaive, which was from the single target build normally, we're going to adjust the single target build just a little bit, and we're going to go Demon Reborn. What this is going to do is give us another I-Beam to keep that haste buff up longer while we play a single target spec with this Tier 21 set. The more I-Beams, the more haste, so maybe this will help out a little bit, and we'll see if it makes a difference. And we're going to run another test. Again, RNG, sims will make a difference as we run it again and again. Waiting for Metamorphosis to come back up. And while we're doing that, let's talk about what we're going to do after that. After this round, in the next few minutes here, we're going to switch out and go into a full-on demonic build and switch out Pride As and give it Radon's Cascading Eyes, which would be the best legendary because it's going to help reduce that cooldown to keep that 4-set bonus rolling. So that's what we're going to do after this test. But let's go ahead and try this again. I'll dive in and then we'll jump cut again. Let's get another test on this. We got 1.04. Here we go. We'll see you. Oh, hold on. We went Demon Reborn. We don't want to start that way. We want to start with I-Beam, then meta, then get our haste buff again. All right, here we go. See you at the jump cut. Okay, we're back after the jump cut. And that time, using Demon Reborn, we pulled 1.15 million. Now, there is some RNG in there, but the single target spec in lower item level gear pulled 1.19, whereas this one pulled 1.15, and I even changed the spec to Demon Reborn. Why did I do that? Again, I wanted to I-Beam to get my haste buff, then meta going in with that haste, and then, well, my Chaos Blades were still up, re-I-Beam to keep that haste rolling to make sure I'm slapping as hard as I can while the Demon Chaos Blades buff is up. And it did make a pretty good difference on that test. So it came in at 1.15 million, but still behind the single target build. So let's give it a shot here, and let's flip out and go all the way into a full demonic build. Now I'm going to switch to Chaos Cleave here, because that's usually more with the demonic build, because Chaos Strike is our bread and butter. We always want to get it to keep getting the proc chance for demonic appetite. I'm going to switch to demonic. Let me change out get some Demon's Bite on here. And let's flip into Radons. So now we have a 4-set. Radons to give us even more I-Beams to keep that 4-set proc rolling. And let's run this in kinda, I guess, pseudo the spec that this tier set was designed for. And let's just see what we get. I'm gonna run Nemesis still. Yep. So we will see you guys after the jump cut. Here we go. Okay, there's another 2 minutes down, and the results are in. I did get some crazy lucky procs on that 2-minute round with Demonic Appetite. I got a lot while I was in meta, just able to keep it up, I-Beam, and sustain meta for quite a while there. But 1.29 million. So our tier 21, 10 item level upgrade, just a basic 930. That's all I can buy at the vendor on the PTR. Increases our damage per second on a 2-minute test, and again, RNG, Sims will play a different role, by 0.1 million DPS over our tier 20 10 item levels lower. And that was with Warforging. It's usually 915. So I really want to put this in perspective. Yes, Demonic is now viable, but to get Demonic to be viable and even pull ahead a little bit of the single target build, you have to dance around a lot, which, as we all know on Demon Hunters, isn't always viable. Yes, we're one of the fastest classes. We can fell rush around to pick up our orbs and stuff like that, save them and time them, and I'm probably not the best Demonic player. I will totally admit that. Probably could pull more if I was a little more experienced with the spec. I do use it in some Mythic Plus dungeons, but not a lot. But again, you have to do a lot of work. A lot more work, and there's nothing wrong with work. I'm not saying that we should be lazy and just always go with the Demon Blade spam Chaos Strike build, because let's face it, it is pretty easy. But it takes a lot more work to just pull 0.1 more million DPS than it does with the other set. And so if it takes that to bring us up just by 0.1 million DPS, how is that going to play out with classes that their tier sets are going to give them a massive boost? Such as, again, I'm going to say, like I did in my last video, the Frost Death Knight. They get a 25% damage increase to Obliterate and Howling Blast, and they're spamming that all the time. We get a 30% damage to something that, even with Radons and even in the spec, oh boy, a guild invitation on the PTR pass. Even in this spec, we're maybe pulling off I-Beam every 15 seconds, and that's with cranking out some souls that we're pulling in. And maybe even faster, but on average, maybe 20-second cooldown, compared to somebody who's spamming that thing all the time. Almost every global cooldown, Howling Blast and Obliterate. I really am worried about this tier set. I feel like Demon Hunter is going to fall behind because of its design. For those of you who love Demonic, congrats, you know, you guys know how to play it. You're probably going to play it better than I play it, no doubt about that. And you're going to do great with it, and it's going to give you a DPS increase. But I feel like overall, this design and this tier set is going to hinder our class a little bit. I guess we're gonna have to see as Argus comes out and we get in there and we start getting the logs and see how people are doing on normal, heroic, and mythic in comparison. But there's some of the test results. We'll see you for the next video. We're gonna test out some of the Argus trinkets on some 2-minute rounds and some jump cuts there to see what trinkets are proccing a lot, which ones look really good, and then have a little bit of a discussion about the new Pantheon trinkets coming out. So hopefully we'll see you in the next video. If you like this content, like and subscribe. If you want to give some feedback down below, go ahead and leave some comments. Please, by all means, leave some comments. And for anybody who has subscribed and watched these videos thus far in my Demon Hunter series, thank you so much for your support and your subscriptions and your likes and just watching the videos. Till then, this is Rage. We'll see you next time.